Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Joe Barnes here with another episode of Mind, Money and Marketing. Welcome. Lovely to see you again. And I am super happy to have with us today a lovely, glamorous lady by the name of Marisa Murgatroyd from liveyourmessage.com. Now, Marisa has been working very hard over the last year or so organising some major online events, which inspired me to contact her to ask her all about how she kind of came about hosting and presenting those events and all the different challenges and things that go with them, and also to find out a little bit more about liveyourmessage.com, because it's a very kind of passionate brand that Marisa's got there, and it's very intriguing. So welcome, Marisa Murgatroyd.
Thank you so much for having me. I can't wait to begin and just give some value to your audience.
Okay, well, let's crack straight on then, Marisa. Let's not waste any time. Can you just tell us a little bit about you? Let's hear a little bit about your background and what's kind of brought you to this point of your business and your brand of Live Your Message right now.
Sure, absolutely. So like a lot of people in this country, or well, I think all over the world really, you know, I was taught that I could go anywhere to school. My dad started a mutual fund for me the day that I was born to invest in my college education and basically said, you can go anywhere. And so my whole childhood I worked really, really hard, you know, got the best grades, got the best test scores, went to the Ivy League, and found myself graduating with a degree. And when I graduated, my dad wrote me this letter basically saying, you know, here's a bunch of money that you can either invest in a down payment of a house or your graduate school education, and I hope that you'll go work for a well-respected institution. And I just felt like I'd been slapped in the face. You know, my dad had given me this gift to try to support my future, but the very last thing that I ever wanted to do was go work for a well-respected organization. And I was a creative, I was an artist, I wanted to, you know, make things happen that didn't exist in the world already. So what I found myself doing is creating application after application and not even getting interviews for jobs that I didn't want. And there's nothing more demoralizing than being turned down for things that you don't even want. But what happened is at the time, back in 2000 when I graduated, there wasn't as much awareness of entrepreneurialism. You know, I thought that the only options that I had was to go and work for somebody else. So I basically spent 10 years working for other people, trying to bring my creativity into existing roles. And I did fairly well. I was a documentary filmmaker. I worked as a creative director on large-scale projects for the state of California and the Getty Museum and PBS and all of these large organizations. But what happened is I wasn't feeling like I could do my work and be me in those situations. And I didn't really realize that I could create something entirely different around who I am and what I love to do that would enable me to be more successful than I could ever be in a job, not just in terms of fulfillment, but financially and making an impact as well. And so what happened is after I spent about 10 years in those circles, I left and I just decided to take a break and go on a road trip. And I thought, well, what can I possibly do? I know how to make things look good. I know how to make things sound good. I'm an award-winning filmmaker. What do I even know how to do? And what I realized is that instead of going through this old model of spending 2 years crafting this highly produced documentary film and getting it out to market, and in the meantime the world has changed, I can take the same skill set and use it online and make things happen from like concept to execution, sometimes within a few hours. And that my skills online could really make a huge impact. And so the last, 4 or 5 years, I've been really studying the top experts in the field who've made an amazing impact online and bringing these skill sets of who I am to this global marketplace. And that's what I help people do as well, to build a business that's an expression of who they are, that leverages the most powerful tools that we've got at our disposal, at our fingertips, to really make a massive impact and have huge income doing what you love. Because I honestly believe that when everybody does what they love, what lights them up, it's like the problems of the world just sort of sort themselves out. And I don't mean that in some idealistic Pollyannish way. I definitely think that we all have the solutions to the problems that the world faces. It's just a matter of stepping into our role and doing that with belief and conviction and the tools that we've got at our disposal to make a huge impact.
So you work a lot with small businesses, and I think I saw you work with, is it doctors as well? You tend to work with doctors?
Not necessarily just doctors, but my clientele they're consultants, they're entrepreneurs and solopreneurs, they're coaches, they're people who freelance, who make a living from their creativity and their expertise.
So what led you to start the Video Superhero Summit earlier on this year?
Absolutely. So like most things in business, at first I was thinking about how can I get more exposure? How can I build my credibility? How can I form partnerships with some of the top people in their field? How can I start to build my list? And because, I'm a brand strategist, I'm not just thinking about, well, what's in it for me, but I'm thinking about it in terms of what's in it for my audience. How can I create another brand that's not just going to be something that I create once, but something that I can do over and over again that's going to continue to grow my list, continue to raise our credibility, and continue to allow us to have a bigger impact in the world. And one of the things that I came up with, me and my business partner and my husband, Murray, is the idea of the superhero summits. So we thought, what's missing from this whole telesummit model? What's missing from this model of everybody doing like 20-some hosts, and you've got these crappy-looking pages where everyone's pixelated and blurry, and people are just doing interviews or pitching products. And we thought that there are a number of things missing that we could do better and bring to the field. Summits, we realized, there's not a lot of fun in these events. They're all around these kind of vague topics oftentimes, like the meaning of life or whatever, busting through limiting beliefs, or just how to do marketing better. And they're not really a good experience to attend. You might get some value, but sometimes after the 10th or the 15th person, you're a little bit burnt out if you even get that far. So we really wanted to do an event differently by turning everybody into a superhero and really having a lot of fun and creativity, telling the backstories of our superhero, their kryptonite, their superpower, the villains they face on a regular basis, and bringing that sense of play and fun and adventure into the summit model, and also creating a brand that people want to be a part of. One of the things that you were asking me, I think, is how was I able to get such amazing presenters on our summit when it's the first time that we ever did it? I got on our very first summit, people like Don Crowther and Jason Fladlin and a lot of, top experts in their field, and of course Andy Jenkins, who would have been really hard for us to approach. And the way that I was able to do that is a few-fold. And the first thing is, how can we make this event seem so unique and different and irresistible that people want to be a part of? It's not the generic, paint by numbers, rubber stamp idea of a telesummit. We're really doing something different. And we're also doing it in a way where we're focusing on building a brand, not a one-off where the quality of the work and the quality of the experience is not very good, but we're creating something that people want to be a part of. The other thing that I did is to inspire them to want to join is we went ahead the first time around and we created the cartoon characters, the figures, the superheroes for our presenters, and we sent them an email and said, here's your superhero. And then we invited them to join. So already the caliber of the artwork kind of spoke to them. They knew that they could come to this event and be turned into a superhero, and who doesn't want to be turned into a superhero, right? And then, of course, we just had our act together. We made it so much easier. We were so much more organized than everybody else out there. And so many of these events, I get approached by people all the time, and they're kind of a wreck, They don't have their ducks in a row. Their event's disorganized. Once you even say yes, the communication is bad. But if we could do it in a way that made it just so much more effective, super easy for everyone to say yes, then that's the model where people are going to return and want to be a part of it, year after year.
Okay, so essentially you took your own, what you go out and do with clients, where you help them with their businesses and their branding and all that kind of stuff. You took everything that you're already doing with other people and you then put it into your own model of how you could then improve your visibility, your credibility, build your community, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first I did that for my main core business, Live Your Message, but also we start to do it for the different marketing for each of our products. And Superhero Summits is essentially a sub-brand that we're launching. So our goal is to do up to 6 events a year. So the first one was Video Superhero Summit in May of this year. We're doing another one, Social Media Superhero Summit, on November 4th through 15th. Then, next year we're launching Traffic Superhero Summit and Mobile Superhero Summit, and maybe even doing video and social media again. So the idea is that we're creating this brand where we're able to kind of rinse and repeat, and each time raise the profile, raise the visibility, have more buzz, have higher caliber presenters, because we've created this experience that's super successful out of the gate, but is a different kind of model that people want to be a part of. And the other thing that we've done is instead of this being all about a list build for us, we thought about what can make this a win-win for everybody involved. It's not just about giving people visibility and a stage to present from. You know, people want to sell their products. But we also didn't want to turn it into Pitch Fest where everybody's just selling and not giving a lot of value. So we're using the Google Hangout technology to do 12 streaming video presentations over 12 days that are each presenting 12 cutting-edge strategies for driving traffic, leads, and sales using social media. And each presenter is offering a product that's $200 or less. So the idea is that we're kind of using an AppSumo model where we're offering products that a lot of times are much more expensive, $400 and even $1,000 that they can get for a limited time for $200. So they never feel like it's out of their reach, but they get so much value, and then the product is so reasonable and the offers are so good that they want to say yes. And that model, we're not just doing a 50-50 split with the presenters where we get 50% affiliate commission and they get 50%, but we're turning around and giving half of our commissions, or 25% of the total product price, to the referring partner. So that way, not only are they getting 50% of the recording pack, they're actually getting 50% of the sales of the presenter products as well, because the reality is that most people don't, rake it up in the recording packs. I think we made, I think we sold first time around 150, which times anywhere between $100 and $200. That's a decent amount of change. That's still like between $15,000 and $30,000 in recording pack sales, but that's not enough to make the event truly profitable and for everybody to walk home with money. So what we did is, with, again, long-term thinking, not about how can I maximize profits for myself, how can I maximize list building for myself, but how can I make this so rewarding for presenters that they want to come back over and over and over again. So that's one of the things that we've done that makes it a lot more enticing for people, because not only can they sell their own product, and our top presenters made multiple 5 figures from their webinars, from their live streaming Google Hangouts. Not only can they sell their own products and get a piece of the recording sale, but they also get a piece of sales from other presenters that they refer. So what that does is it has more of a spirit of cooperation. When each presenter does well, everybody does well. So it's not just I want my presentation to do super well, it's I want the summit as a whole to do well.
Win-win all round. Very clever.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, Marisa, you come across as an extremely savvy, very focused business person. So let's dig a bit deeper into you. What do you feel gives you the self-belief and the tenacity, determination to go forward and try these things?
Well, first of all, I think I'm super connected to why I do what I do. I really do, when I said at the beginning of this call, have a belief that when each of us steps forward and does what we're called to do, and does it in a way where you're using the best strategies and the best tactic and all that the internet has to offer to get your message out there, that we are going to solve the problems of the world. And I used to work in nonprofits, and I used to work in governmental agencies or do work for governmental agencies, which was a more top-down approach of trying to change the world by producing an amazing media project or trying to change the world by implementing a policy. And what I realized is it's really hard to make change that way, or at least hard to see the results of the change. And by working individually with business owners, I'm really able to see the ripple effect of what I do. And that for me is so rewarding personally when I know that this person has launched their business because of me. This person has added a zero to their bottom line because of me. This person has, gone from, working in a job to quitting their job and having a thriving business because of me. This person's launched a product. And if I was able to provide a little bit of inspiration, that's hugely, hugely rewarding. And that also enables me to make much more of an impact than I could make on my own. And so for me, it's so worth it and so validating to be able to see the results of my actions. And online, you can literally see how many people are clicking, how many people are taking action. You get that instantaneous feedback from all the different metrics of what you do. And so for me, that provides a lot of juice and a lot of motivation to see, okay, this is working. Let me do more of that. And, oh, okay, this is working too. Let me do more of that. That's not quite working. Okay, I'm going to let that one go or shift it and alter it a little bit. So that's one of the big things that have enabled me to really move forward. And I think the other thing that breeds confidence is just taking action. The more that I put out there and the more of that positive feedback loop that I get, the more confidence I get to continue to put more stuff out there. And I think that what stops a lot of people is just not getting started or not consistently following through. And I find that if I just keep going and put it out there, even when I'm tired or exhausted or burnt out or frustrated or feeling ineffective or having a moment of self-doubt, which happens, of course, and do it anyway and see the impact and know that even if I don't feel like I'm fully on, other people aren't perceiving me in the way that I'm perceiving myself. And once I put it out there and I see the response, I realized I was just in my head creating problems that don't exist, and I'm the only person standing in the way of my success. And when I recognize that my message is so much bigger than my fears, so much bigger than my doubts, so much bigger than the obstacles and challenges that life throws my way, and I just recognize and focus on that ripple effect that I'm having, rather than on this, like, crazy brewing stuff that's going on inside, that angsty stuff that's trying to keep me down, and I just shift the focus, shift the switch to that, it makes my problem seem kind of small,
I just have to very quickly highlight that moment, because that was a little piece of gold there, I think. That whole shifting your focus externally from what all the little demons that we have inside us all the time, those little self-doubt things that go, and actually just shifting that focus and saying, no, how is what I'm doing right now helping other people? And that's a little bit of gold right there. So thank you very much for that, Marisa. What advice would you perhaps give to those people who feel that they can't quite tap into their superpower yet? They're not entirely sure what their unique quality is, what their message is yet. What kind of advice have you got for those people on trying to tap into that?
Well, that's a hard question to answer quickly, because I've got so many different kind of trainings and processes around that. But I really think that, it comes down to clarity on who you are and what you want. And so many people, it sounds really, really basic, but what I teach is that before you go out there marketing and building websites and producing products, to really get super clear, both about what you want in your life and in your business, and also who you are. Because when you understand and have that goal and that vision to work towards, you're not building a business that makes you miserable or, puts on a new set of golden handcuffs for you, but building a business that you can do for year after year after year around something that you genuinely care about, that supports the kind of life that you want to live. That can be super magical, but it takes some work, some strategic planning, and some processes to really get super clear on what makes you tick, what you want, and also what makes you different in the market in a way that's relevant to your audience. Not just something about, okay, this is my work and this is why it's important, but be able to flip that and look at your audience and say, they're looking at this. They don't have a lot of time. They're wrestling with Facebook and kids and mortgages and jobs. How can I convey what I do with such clarity that people are interested? I answer the question, so what? Why does this matter? Why should I care? Because that's the only way you're going to cut through the noise, is if you're able to have that level of clarity around what you do. And that takes practice and fine-tuning to get right, to really hone into the words, to crack the code on the words and the images that you need to spark a response in other people. And that's, like I said, all about go ahead.
No, so please finish. Sorry, I was interrupting you.
Oh, no, not at all. So that
I was just going to move in on the personal branding. Yeah, sorry, Marisa. Sure. Sorry, we the little lag time means we talk over each other sometimes. So, I was just going to hone in on what you were saying there, because you're moving into the realms a bit there, aren't you, of personal branding, that copy, the images, how you express what you do with absolute clarity. That comes down to that kind of branding. How important is that to your business, the images and all of that kind of stuff that you use when you're online?
Oh, it's absolutely critical. I've tripled my business for the last 2 years in a row. Basically, it's only been 2 years since I launched Live Your Message, and the very first year that I launched this brand, I went from making $58,000 a year in a job where I got a paycheck to making about I think it was $176,000 a year, and this year we're on track to do $500,000. And we came out of nowhere and very, very quickly were reputable and established. And it's because we're putting out the signals that not a lot of people bother to put out. If you look at anything we produce, it just looks better and sounds better than most people's stuff. And I think when you take that seriously, when you really take that kind of care in your brand, when you really craft messages that show how much you care and what you care about and reveal your values, people take notice. because only the top gurus are really doing this. So if you come out of the market and you've got that level of clarity and you also invest a little bit in putting out signals that show you're for real, people respect that and they respond to that. When I got my core message right, when I shifted from my previous business, Be Seen Boldly, to Live Your Message, it's like interest and engagement just exploded overnight. The very first event I went out there with my brand new business cards, you know, and I started giving them out, and people would look at them and they're like, wow, you know, that looks so awesome, and I love your name, and I love your tagline, and oh my God, and they turn around the card, and I've got a little call to action on the back to take the Does Your Website Suck quiz. They start laughing about that, like, oh, I need to take that quiz. And just getting that engagement right and getting those signals right makes the difference between that blank stare where people just glaze over when you say what you do, and genuine interest that sparks response, that sparks action, that sparks engagement, that has people asking the money questions of, how do you do that? Or where can I sign up? Or do you have a card? And it's kind of magical when you crack the code on that in your business, and not a lot of people do.
What about people who are just starting out? How do they start to incorporate some of those branding messages right at the beginning of their business, where maybe they don't have an awful lot to invest in any kind of design or anything like that, and they're really kind of running their business on a tight budget? How can they begin to look professional and super clear right from the outset?
You know, you don't have to invest a lot of money to really look awesome and to convey that sort of clarity. You know, I always teach people a framework that a lot of the top marketing and brands on the planet know how to use, and it's called the product reading sequence. And it's primarily used in consumer packaged goods products, which is products that you find on the supermarket shelf and in stores. But basically, you know, when you think about it, there might be 50 kinds of laundry detergent, right? And maybe 20 of them are there on the shelf. What makes you pick one from the other? So these huge brands know that there's basically a process, the way that the brain works and evaluates new opportunities and new products and new information. And if you're actually able to kind of tune in and get that process right, where you give people the right information in the right order, magic can happen. And the very first thing is about getting noticed. You know, that's what has your eyes drawn to one product over the other. And online, the vast majority of website visits last less than 17 seconds. Like 80% of visits are less than 17 seconds. People actually gauge you within 3 to 7 seconds. So if you're not able to pass that 3-second test, people are gone and they don't come back. So the very first step is about getting noticed. And you can leverage any of the visual aspects of your brand, from color to fonts to graphics that show human faces and evoke emotion. And the second characteristic is it's got to convey what you do and why it matters. And it sounds super simple, but the vast majority of sites you go to and you have no idea what they're about, right? You really don't know what they do. And even after sometimes digging through multiple pages, you still can't tell what they do. So if you're able to instantly say, and within a few seconds, what you do and why it matters in a way that speaks to your ideal client, you're going to get noticed beyond someone else. And also the question is, what makes you different, which is part of the why it matters component. Why would someone choose to work with you over everybody else out there? And a lot of that has to do with more than just your content. So many people make the mistake of thinking it's about what I do, right? And the thing is that there's so much content out there for free on Google, like tons and tons and tons of content. So people choose to work with you or choose to follow you based on what you bring to the content, which is some of where your personal brand comes in. And I really believe in story-based marketing, telling stories and revealing details about yourself that get people more involved in your content than if you were just to lay the content on them. I mean, if you just gave them 5 bullet points of what your website needs to do, they're going to be bored and they're going to tune out. And content alone doesn't stick, information alone doesn't stick, unless you activate and involve the emotions. And that's what storytelling really, really does. So if you think about what makes you different based on who you are, how you show up, the impression and the experience that you create for people, and some of the more emotional markets that you naturally hit, that can have you stand out beyond just being like, I'm a coach, I'm a life coach, I'm going to help you break through your limiting beliefs, and get what you want out of life. It's like, okay, you and everybody else out there. That's why most life coaches make less than $50,000 a year. So when you tap into all of that, it's super, super powerful and almost tangible. And people get that you know your stuff, but beyond that, that you can really help them and that you're the only person to help them.
Well, I don't know about any of the people watching this, but I am learning so much. I'm going to
Yeah.
be in contact with you after this, Marisa, on your liveyourmessage.com website. Okay, tell us a little bit about the Social Media Superhero Summit coming up, because I know we've only got a few weeks to go, haven't we? And that's going to be live. So tell us a little bit about what's going on with that.
Absolutely. So I've brought together 12 of the top superheroes on the planet when it comes to social media, not just, yakking away at social media, but actually using the platform to drive traffic, leads, and sales. And if you want to become a superhero to your tribe, you've got a chance to do this in just 12 days, because the people that we're assembling are each going to show one cutting-edge strategy for getting results with social media a day. So from November 4th through November 15th, we're going to be giving 12 free live streaming trainings related to social media, and you're going to want to be a part of that. We also have a contest that we're doing where you have a chance to win, prizes, whether it's free training, sometimes free coaching from these experts as well. So if you want to know what Don Crowther has to say, or Mia Davies has to say, or Nick Halleck has to say, they're all going to be giving away some goodies as well. So it's really going to be fun. You can show up live, you can interact with us, ask your questions, and have a chance at winning some of those prizes too. So this is kind of the social media summit that's actually going to give real value, not just a lot of fluff about why is social media important. We all know why social media is important. We all know we got to be there, right? Now you want to know the good stuff of how do you make it work for you, because so many people, when it comes to social media, it's like it's a black hole for time, and not a lot of people know how to do it in a way that actually gets real results in your business, that actually builds your mailing list, that not only grows your credibility and your relationship with your audience, but translates into sales. So we're going to show you how to work LinkedIn, Pinterest, Google+, how to use video, how to grow your list through social media, how to build your celebrity with social media, how to build your personal brand on social media, how to use Facebook advertising, as well as organic Facebook as well. We're going to show you how to be everywhere online and kind of leverage your content across multiple platforms. We're also going to show you the inside of Twitter and how to use Twitter to build amazing relationships. Now, we're going to show you all of that in just 12 days, and we're only going to do one presentation a day, so it's never going to be overwhelming. You also have instant access to replays, so if you can't make a particular presentation, you've got 48 hours to catch up, or you can buy the Superhero Pack, which, by the way, is just $97 before the summit. After that, it goes up, so that way you can get all of the presentations as soon as they're released. And that's the deal. That's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to make happen. And I can tell you that what we've got up our sleeves is it's going to be awesome.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, and all the links for you to be able to get more details and sign up and all that kind of stuff will be below this video on the blog. Marisa, just before we go, can you just tell us whether I'm blown away. This has been an amazing interview. Thank you very much for your time. I think you're an extremely inspirational person to speak to, and I wonder if there's been something along the way in your life, in your business, a book or a film or something that's really inspired you, something that's stuck in your mind that you think, gosh, that was a turning point, and that you could tell everybody about, and perhaps they can get some inspiration from it too.
Well, in terms of turning points, a lot of them have been more stories and things that happened in my life, but if I were to choose a book or a film, I wouldn't say that it's created my career today, but just something that struck a chord with me. I would choose a very little-known documentary by the name of Touch the Sound, and it follows this profoundly deaf Scottish percussionist named Evelyn, and I forgot her last name. It's named Evelyn Glennie, right? And so this is a woman who basically was able to transform her disability, not being able to hear, into an amazing feeling of sound and of music that nobody else on the planet has. And I feel like when it comes to branding and when it comes to business, it's really about this sort of transmutation or the alchemy that happens when you turn all of your life experiences and the challenges that you've had into something that is greater than the sum total of its parts. And we've all been, no one's walked in our shoes. No one's, lived the experiences that we've lived. And all of that, all of the challenges, all of the fears, all of the demons add up to something that makes you uniquely valuable to teach what you teach in a way that nobody else can teach. And so that particular documentary, by just showing this profoundly deaf percussionist just shows me, it reveals that we all have something inside of us. And a lot of times it's our shadow. A lot of times it's the challenges that we've gone through that give us the motivation to move forward, but also give us a way to teach what we do and connect with people that nobody else has. There's no one more credible or capable of being you than you. There's nobody who, can fill those shoes. And so I genuinely believe that we've all got a message inside of ourselves, and the world is waiting for us to live our message. So that would be something that did make a mark on me.
Beautiful finish. Absolutely beautiful finish. Marisa, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen watching, all of the links to the forthcoming Social Media Superhero Summit will be below this video, and also links to find out a bit more about Marisa if you'd like to follow up with her over on Facebook or over on her website. I'll see you again very soon for another episode of My Money and Marketing. But for now, Marisa Murgatroyd, thank you very much.
Thank you.